Perfect. So recording in progress. Let's fix up my screen there. And so yeah, welcome everyone to the August Mindset Mastery call. So today we're going to be looking at the fixed mindset and the growth mindset and how we can overcome our ego and how it plays a big role in limiting us and keeping us playing small. So before I go any further, you ladies on the call, just show of hands if you guys have explored or have an understanding of a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Vague. So, those thoughts that are coming into our heads that kind of limit us. And then the growth mindset is just, how can I reframe that? So we'll go into a little bit in depth today. Again, anything I say, anything that resonates with you guys, just take it. Anything that you're just like, doesn't kind of resonate with me, just leave it. So just take what serves you and just dump what doesn't. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. So we just want to, I'm just going through my notes and I should have highlighted them. So today we're really going to look at the importance, like I said, of embracing that growth mindset, and which is going to help us in our professional and our personal development. So I know, Meg, you're doing the Ayurveda Alchemist, and anyone that's catching it on the replay, if you're doing Ayurveda Alchemist for your own personal growth, then just switch what I say, because I think a lot of things that I'm going to say is it could be more examples on the business front. So you can just take some of those examples for your personal life. So you don't have to focus on the business, just take it for your own professional or personal development there. And then when we focus on that growth mindset, what it allows us to do is really overcome any challenges that we're facing personally or professionally. It just gives us that empowered state of being, that confidence to be able to adapt to any change that may happen around us or as we go through life. So when you're having that growth mindset, you just become resilient and empowered. So I just want to go through in this section about understanding a little bit more in depth about the fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset is like a cage, right? It keeps us trapped. It's like we're a big lion that is trapped in this cage that limits our belief, and we really put like a glass ceiling. It's like, okay, we're this big lion that we can break through this glass ceiling or smash through this cage, but the cage or the glass ceiling is really our beliefs that we keep telling ourselves. It really limits us in achieving and experiencing things in life that really lights us up. So it's that little voice that tells us, like, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, it's not for us, don't go after your dreams. But we have that innate power within us to break free, to be that lion, to roar, to rip out of the cage, to smash that glass ceiling. But what we got to do is really start bringing some awareness and making friends with that part of ourselves in order to break free. Does that make sense? Sometimes I can talk too fast, so I'll try to slow it down. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like, oh, so I'll try to bring it down. Sorry. Okay, so what are some of the common fixed mindset triggers and limitations that we may come across as we're going through life, as we're going through business or in our profession? So the 5 most common ones that I come across and that I've experienced is, and maybe you girls as well, is fear of failure. Right? You may have that belief that any setback or any mistake or any failure, so we speak, really defines our ability and potential, and that it stops us from taking those risks or those exciting new opportunities that may present us, because we're like, oh, I don't know, like, I'm not good enough for that, or, that's not for me, or, so it's just really that fear of failure. imposter syndrome is huge. So you may feel like that you're not worthy of any of accomplishments or success that you achieve, that you're just faking it, that, oh, I don't know how I've just, got here, I've just fluked it. And it really leads to self-doubt and that reluctance to really step up into your power or really step up into a leadership role, or really step up to being that CEO of your business, or really stepping up to, be whatever that next level of role in your profession that you're wanting to achieve. Then we've got that comparison, that great comparison when you're scrolling through Facebook and you're seeing all the people doing all the things. So that engaging in that constant comparison, which I know I do all the times with others, especially in business, you start, and you're seeing their success, or what your perception of their success is. You may feel like you're feeling threatened by their success, or believing in someone else's success will diminish your own success, if that makes sense. But we're going to go through these a little bit deeper through the session. Seeking external validation. So, you may find yourself relying on external validation to validate your own self-worth, success, or anything like that. So especially women in business, you may need to, when you start finding yourself feeling the need for constant praise and approval, or attaching your value to what other people's opinions may be, or the praise that you may get, instead of just stopping and recognizing your own capabilities and what you have succeeded or what you have achieved. The last big one that I found is feedback received, or, what people may perceive as criticism or negative feedback. Anyone with a fixed mindset, they start believing that they're incapable of change or incapable of growth, that will then limit them or shy them away from challenges or opportunities, right? Because they're like, oh, I can't believe they've criticized me. And you really take that on as a personal attack, instead of going, wow, great, where can I use this to kind of grow? So that's really fixed mindset, and the ways that it can start showing up and play out in your mind. So I just want to ask you, lady, what are some examples, now that I've babbled on for a little while, what are some of the examples that you see that are fixed mindset, or some things that you've noticed within yourself or noticed with people around you? What are some behaviors or things?
I actually have a client with she has MS, and so I do a lot of I do a lot of mindset stuff with her just when I look after her. And she has a mindset that none of her relatives talk to her because of some issues with family stuff, and because she has MS. So whenever she talks to people, she says, oh, my family don't help me, my family has nothing to do with me. So I always have to remind her, hang on, you don't know that. Maybe your family are not talking to you because of the what's going on within the family environment, which has nothing to do with her personally. So that fixed mindset, and that's what she kind of puts out to the world. So I actually always have to pull her back and say, let's just reframe that to help her think differently.
I love that. Just really using that medical issue as, oh, this is the reason why, and hiding behind that.
Yeah,
that's great to pick up.
Yeah, I've definitely have at some stage felt all of these: fear of failure, imposter syndrome, all of them. I've come a long way, I believe, from, I don't know, not even that long ago, maybe 5 years ago, and don't feel some of these things as strongly as I used to anymore, which is good. Totally fixed mindset.
Yeah, perfect. And it's crazy how it's just not linear. It's like, okay, I've fixed it and I'm aware of it, but sometimes it just keeps creeping back in, and go, oh, there it is. Here we are.
Yeah, but thank you.
Thank you. You can bugger off now. All right, perfect. So now I want to go into seeing how to embrace the growth mindset, and what that my definition, or how I view it. So really, for me, a growth mindset opens up to being able to learn more, to be able to evolve. When you have a growth mindset, when challenges are coming, you embrace those challenges, you invite them in. you know, when you have a growth mindset, you see the failures as opportunities to learn. You perceive failures as not a failure, but as a setback or a stepping stone to, you know, assess of, okay, where I'm at, how can I grow? And I'm going to use this as a stepping stone to then, even though it set me back, to just propel forward. So it's a stepping stone for our growth on the path to your success or your evolution, or your healing. It's really about believing our ability, in our own ability, in our own power to be able to grow, like I said, to grow, to evolve, and just to improve ourselves. And we can do that through, you know, like you guys said, being self-aware, being self-compassionate, and having the ability to be able to keep coming back and connecting into that true essence of who we are, the power of who we are. And when you come back and you connect, that's when you can be self-aware and self-compassionate and see and really just kind of embrace that growth mindset, and just use any setbacks as just feedback tool, as a tool to really propel and grow. So does that make sense so far? Well, before I get to the bit, perfect. So that's just, yeah, my definition of how I see the growth mindsets. So I'm going to go through some of 5 key benefits in adopting or embracing that key mindset. So you have that increased resilience, like I spoke about. So this enables us to view, like I said, view the challenges and setbacks as opportunities to learn, grow, and evolve, and just reframing how we're seeing those setbacks. So by doing that, we're going to be able to cultivate a real resilience to any challenges or setbacks or quote unquote failures that come into our life. We're going to be able to have greater creativity, right? Because when you're having a growth mindset, you're going to have a willingness to explore ideas, to take creative risks, to be more open-minded, to find solutions when you're having challenges, you know. And yeah, by having greater creativity, you're going to be able to problem solve a lot more, instead of going, oh, use your imagination, use your creativity to find other ways. You're going to be able to expand your learning, expand your skill development, right? So because when you have a growth mindset, you're just actively seeking for opportunities. You're wanting to continue to learn and develop your skills, because you're so humble in, like, I don't know everything. There's always room to learn and grow. And I truly believe that if we think we know it all, then we might as well go on our deathbed. Because why are we here? We're here to constantly learn and evolve. So to embrace any feedback that we get as a valuable tool for improvement, right? Because we are so fixed in our mind. And sometimes when we're getting feedback, it's a beautiful opportunity to have like a light or blinkers shined on and go, oh yeah, I didn't see it that way, you know, to just embrace that feedback in order to, you know, to grow and expand the knowledge of yourself and awareness of yourself. It will enhance your leadership skills, right? Because you become more confident in your own abilities, right? And leadership, whether it's in business, leadership, whether it's in your profession, leadership, whether it's in your life, right? You're willing to take new challenges. And then when you step up into that leader, into your most powerful self, you're going to naturally just go and inspire others to do the same, right? You're going to motivate others to do the same. That saying that when you shine your light, you're giving permission for others to shine even brighter, right? So that to me is the leadership. And you're just going to naturally increase your success and your achievement, whether it, again, business, professional, in your personal life, right? By embracing and adopting that growth mindset, you then believe in your own capabilities, right? You then back yourself. You have that confidence to go out there and chase your dreams, right? You're going to go out there and set big, ambitious goals and just put the things in place and go seek and learn and develop to be able to take those steps to achieve your goals. And the last one is having that, like, not to be able to compare yourself to anyone because you're so rooted in the truth of who you are, and you're seeing yourself on a whole nother level, that you're not out there comparing with anyone. You have such a strong sense of self-awareness, a strong sense of self-acceptance and self-compassion, that you're focused on your own growth, you're focused on your own development without being distracted with anyone else and whatever they're doing. And I find that when you have that growth mindset and you're so self-aware, when you look at others, you have such a level of compassion for them that you don't see them as competition, that you're there wanting to cheer them on because you're in your own lane. You are so self-assured that you're there wanting to, like, again, it takes it back to that leadership. You're shining, so it gives them permission to shine instead of comparing. So does that all make sense? And the points that I've gone through? So where is some of your areas that you find that you can focus on in terms of growth mindset, or adapting that perception? I think you're on mute. There we are.
So as like individuals or as business people, or it doesn't
Yeah,
matter?
business people, individual, like you personally, or any.
I think for me, like in my business, I've just put a halt on where I'm at with my modules in general, and I'm just starting to secretly in the background just assess people. So I think like something, as I said, I've been reframing with my MS clients, so I can try and probably start reframing with a lot of my clients, because at the end of the day, like, my job is just listening to people complain basically one whole day, you know. So I've probably got lots of opportunity where I can just really start practicing that reframing, because I find that concept quite easy. Like you taught me that back in our last mindset call for myself. So now I can probably start adapting that with clients.
And it's amazing when we go on this journey and start looking at ourselves and bringing such self-awareness and moving through life through such a conscious state of mind. It's so easy to see in our clients, or it's so easy to see it in our loved ones around us, and for us to then see them through a lens of compassion. Because it's like, oh, that's not who they truly are. This is where they're hurting, or this may be why that's happening. So it gives us really great insight to be able to be compassionate and help others.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, I don't know, there's an example of a friend, she's really not happy in her relationship, but just sort of being there, knowing, maybe she should get out and be brave and take that risk, but you can't really tell anyone what to do or anything. So you just sort of need to be there and be compassionate and slowly go, oh, but you're a very, resilient, you could do anything, and point out nice things about them so that they can start to feel a bit more courageous, I guess, and see their light.
And that's perfect. And that's taking on that leadership role, like you embodying that and shining your light. And then naturally those around you are going to be able to have permission to do the same, right? Because you just think so many people out there are just they're not surrounded by positive, uplifted people that really focus on their self-development, really, work on their healing. And they're just surrounded by themselves of people that are such limited or fixed mindsets that are in so much pain. And you just think about the language and the words that they're hearing in their mind and around them. But then when you have someone like you saying, you can be resilient, what do you love to do? You've got this, look how amazing, look what you've done, what are your dreams, your hopes, your goals? And you start changing that conversation and you start embodying it and living that life. It's like, oh, what is this? Maybe I can do that. So just being that leadership, having that leader with her is amazing.
I think when you said that, I think I realized the potential that I had to be able to be that person for somebody. I had to do it for myself. And then once I did that, I was sort of like, not sure. But now I'm starting to notice that other people are like, oh, if you can do it, I could do it. And it's like, yeah.
You can do it, I can do it. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to now, which I love because I know a lot of you go, okay, I kind of know what fixed mindset is and growth mindset, but then I love to take it a little bit deeper and go, okay, well, how are these fixed mindsets? How do they occur? Why do they occur? And how do we start identifying it and breaking it down and reframing our minds, right? So for me, again, take what you like, believe what you don't. This is just my perception and my explanation of the ego, right? So our ego has such a profound impact and effect on our everyday life, right? Like so profound that most of us don't even have the awareness of the ego and how it drives our behaviors and the patterns, right? So I like to think of the ego as this really great protector of your inner child, protector of the self-identity, right? So the ego is the self-identity, the identity that you've created that is developed and shaped and programmed through beliefs, ideas, culturals, any experiences that you experienced through childhood. Does that make sense? So we start identifying ourselves. So for me, a lot of people say, oh, the ego is so bad, you know, oh, you've got a big ego, but it's not. It's really a part of who we are. It's our identity that has been shaped, right? So the ego, that part of ourselves, that voice, that inner voice that you hear, oh, you're not good enough, you're not that, that's the ego, right? That part of you, that ego is attached to the stories that we have created from what we've experienced and been programmed since childhood, right? It defends the story of, you know, the limiting beliefs, our experiences, or any of that kind of stuff. And that in turn fixes our mindset. So that, does that make sense? Right? So the stories that we've created or been programmed, or the experiences that we've experienced, fixes our mindset of how we perceive the world, fixes our mindset of the belief that we have for ourselves and in the external world. And that ego there defends our story, defends that identity of how we're perceiving the world and perceiving ourselves, right? The ego's main job is really trying to protect us and protect that identity that we've programmed it to believe that we are. So anything scary that comes out of that comfort zone or out of that identity and wants us to change our identity, it's going to protect us. It's going to defend us. How does that come about? That's going to come about by the limiting stories, that fixed mindset, those phrases, the stories that we tell ourselves. Is that making sense? Before I go on to the next one. Okay, just want to make sure I don't lose anyone with my blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I want to go through some of the ways this can show up. And a lot of this stuff, you'll start to see that starts to intertwine, you know, the imposter syndrome, the limiting beliefs, the stories that we tell ourselves are all entwined with the ego, with the fixed mindset. So some of these ways that it can manifest and show up is, again, that imposter syndrome, right? The self-doubt and fear of being seen as a fraud, right? Or as a fake. It'll show up as perfectionism, which is the fear of failure and the fear of judgment. So as I'm going through this, I want you to think back to your childhood of when this story came in, whether it was an experience, whether it was a family member, a teacher, or someone of influence in your life when you were younger told you that, whether it's a cultural belief. Okay, so as I'm going through this, just start, you know, thinking. Comparison, you know, that feeling of inadequacy, the feeling of unworthiness. If you have the fear of rejection, you avoid taking risks and stepping outside of your comfort zone. When you're seeking the need for approval all the time, so you're seeking that external validation as opposed to listening to your own inner wisdom and your own desires. So I want you, if you feel comfortable, to start sharing with us some areas where you've noticed where the ego may be holding you back. or any reflections that you may have on that ego.
Do you want us to share?
Yeah, if you could, that'll be great.
Probably mine is perfectionism and, fear of failure, and definitely in the industry I'm in, comparing myself to others. So especially the comparing myself to others, because I'm, like 20 years older than most of my colleagues, and the fitness industry is very much focused on, well, not very much, but a lot of it's the gyms and the environment that I'm in is focused on the younger people coming through.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just something I kind of have to work on every single day. But it's kind of helped work, moving into the perimenopause phase, and especially last week, I think in the women's health call, Harmony spoke about thinking about moving into your years of wisdom.
Yes.
And losing, almost like we think we're losing our youth.
Yeah.
So that's how that's my self-talk that I'm using, and to try and be more accepting of, moving into that next chapter.
Yeah, I love that. And, I'm moving into 40 next year, less than the start of next year. And, a lot of my friends around me are moving into that phase, into that age bracket, and they're like, oh my God, they want to hold on to their youth and they're really freaking out, where I'm really embracing it, because I want to, just like I said, move into that wisdom stage. My daughter's called Harmony, so she's like, Mommy, you got grey hair, can I pull it out? And I'm like, no, leave it. That's because Mummy's wisdom. So whatever I say to you means you got to listen, because I've got all these years of experience. But I'm really looking forward to growing, older, or going to that next stage, because I look at the young ones and went, oh my God, they are still so naive, and they've still got so much to learn, even though it looks like, oh my God, they're living their best and greatest life, but they're still so lost in who they are. So I'm really just embracing all the changes of my body and that wisdom, and not giving a fuck. Sorry, I swear, but, just not giving a shit. Because when I was back in my 20s and early 30s, I just people pleased. I cared what people think. I wasn't comfortable in my own body and my own skin. Now I'm like, I don't care. Like, I love my saggy tits. I love my grays coming through. You know what I mean? Like, I loved that. Like, I just love, I think, that next stage of wisdom, and just being more comfortable in my body, being more comfortable with who I am, because I'm not learning myself on a deeper level every year, and just loving that. So yeah, I love how you're embracing it and you're reframing that. And you're stepping out. Like, I love looking at your Instagram page. Like, I'm like, look at you, badass. Do you know what I mean? And there needs to be, and there needs to be more women out there shining your light, showing that leadership. Going, just because you're a certain age doesn't mean your health and wellness can fall that. Doesn't mean, you have to have that perception of you just got to sit there and just get unfit and the life is over. It's like, no, like, health is a priority. Wellness is a priority. You can still go out there and you can still look like this or do these exercises. You may have some tightness here or something there, but this is how we work around it. So I really love seeing your posts going out there, because you're just showing that it is the norm, rewriting the story of what a middle-aged woman looks like. We're not all grey and sitting there with with our walking stick and living that mum life, where we are people, and just embrace that beautiful part of our lives. Sorry, I go on tangents.
No, thank you.
That was good. That was good. I'm in the same boat, really. Well, I'm 45, and I've gone through menopause like early. My mum did, so I was like, oh my God, really? At about 40 I started to, and my body changed. And it's just like, it's like you come full circle, which is really awesome. I don't know how to put it into words, but you just sort of come back to yourself. Like, I think as how you were as a child before anybody gave you any molding or shaping or doubts, or you just sort of come back to yourself, and it's really beautiful. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling now.
Love it.
I guess it might be like when you say that, because I haven't had a cycle now for 4.5 months, and I'm thinking, I think this might be it. hopefully. And when you say that, it's almost like maybe because, you know, that fear of change. So when your body starts to change and you're like, you're sort of stuck between, like you keep getting you go through the cycle and you're like, okay, I'm ready for menopause, and then you get your period, so then you're thrown back to perimenopause, and you're sort of like this for quite a while.
Yeah.
Going back that way as well if I get my period again, but at the moment I'm sort of smooth sailing with no cycle, and I'm happy with that, and I feel healthy. I don't feel like I'm out of balance. So I'm like, maybe, okay, I think I'm ready just to sail into that phase. So maybe it's that fear of change that our body starts to go, oh my God, like, and if we can accept not be so scared of it and just accept it, we might have a better time through menopause.
Yeah, I think so. It is like that. Like, I definitely felt like I grieved. And I would have loved to have had another baby, or it's, you know, it's like that, it's final. It's like, sorry, that's it, you're done. And it's not your decision. It's your, yeah. So yeah, it's good though. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you reframe it and view it as, you know, it's that transition. What I'm hearing you saying is that transition period, and when you're in that transition period, you know, whatever changes you go through, you're going to grieve that old version of yourself, or that old part of yourself that's no longer there, and then transition and enjoy that journey, because it's a short journey, and what wisdom is going to come out of that journey, and to really stop and reflect on your feelings, be okay with the feelings. Why are they coming up? Embrace the new changes, get excited for the new season in life and what that looks like for you. So it is really a whole, like, oh, grief, loss, excitement, like, and you're going through that emotional roller coaster. It's like anything in life, anything, whether it's you're losing a relationship, loss of a loved one, loss of a job, you know, loss of transitioning into that next phase of yourself, there's always that grief process that's going to go with it. But if you can embrace it, accept it, give yourself love and compassion, and be excited through that journey process, it can be beautiful, scary, weird, beautiful.
There's like a saying that someone said to me, is that I think this too shall pass. And like, because I get quite overwhelmed. But then somebody said to me, it's not like about the bad thing waiting for that to pass. It's also the good moment will pass. So you've got to see both in the moment.
Yeah.
Otherwise you miss the whole thing or something. I was like, oh my God.
And when you say that, it brings into mind that I used to hate getting my periods. Remember when you're younger, you're like, oh my God, I got my periods. Why do I have my periods? I don't want my periods. I just want it to go. And then lately, over the last few years, I reframed it to go, I love when I get my periods, you know, just loving that moment. Like, I love when I get my periods. I really honor myself. I sit back and, you know, and such a beautiful time. It's messy and like, but it's such a beautiful time to really just embrace it. So that's what I'm trying to teach my daughters now. Like, when you get your periods, because Harmony's coming up to the age where she's getting it, and, you know, just getting her to reframe the way she sees it, right, from that fixed mindset to that growth mindset. Not like, oh God, women have to go through this every month and men don't have to, we have to bleed and we can't go do this and we can't go do that, to it's a beautiful sacred time that we get to go through this, because we get to bring life in. We get to go through that because we get so much. I don't know if you guys notice when you're on your period, or when you were on your period, you get so much download and insight and wisdom that comes through, you know. So I'm getting her to reframe it and put that growth mindset around periods. And then you guys are lucky because you're moving into that wisdom part where you're going to get that connection and download all the time without the bleed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Go us, girls.
So now that we know the ego and the huge impact that it plays on our life and on our fixed mindset, it's like, how do we break free from it? Now that we've got that awareness, how can we start to, you know, break free, or not break free from the ego, because I love the ego. It's a tool to help us as a part of who we are. But how can we then make the steps to reframe our ego to be able, because remember, its core relationship, its core job is to protect our identity. How can we get it to shift and evolve and change into that higher version of ourselves that we want to become, into that growth mindset? Because if we reprogram that, or reprogram our subconscious mind, our ego, then it's going to support that story that we're telling it, right? So how can we really unify with that? So now that we've gained the insights into how the roles that our ego plays, it's really time to start going on that journey of self-awareness and consciousness, right? So as we know, that ego is an integral part of who we are. It's a part of who we are. It's just like our inner child, right? It's there communicating with us. It's seeking to be heard. It's seeking to be acknowledged. It's tucking tantrums. You know, it just wants to be understood without any judgment and without any comparison, without any, you know, any of that yucky stuff, but just really approach reframing your ego with love and compassion, right? Because that is, like I said over and over, the ego is part of who we are. So by embracing our ego, it will allow us to build, like I said, compassion and a real deep connected relationship to the core and truth of who we are. You know, as we become more conscious, as we become more aware, we can start observing its patterns. We can start observing its triggers instead of like resisting it, suppressing it, saying, no, that's just, you know, just getting really down on ourselves. We really start to learn and listen with love and kindness, right? So I really want us to start to reframe the way we look at ego. And, you know, because we need to normalize that ego is our friend. Ego is just there trying to protect us. It's not trying to bring us down by any means. All right. So I'm going to go through a few questions just to start self-inquiring, just to start connecting with the ego, just to start understanding and being self-aware of yourself. So what past experiences, and I can put this, I'll copy and paste and put it in the chat, but what past experiences or beliefs that you have that you find trigger the feelings of self-doubt or insecurity? And are they based on reality right now, or are they based on a story on the path or a programming of the path? So what past experience or belief are triggering your feelings of self-doubt or insecurity? And is this really based on what's happening in my reality now, or is it just a story I'm telling myself? And I might play some music for you guys while we do this. Let me see. Share. I'm going to try to get this sharing sound thing correct. Advanced. So the next one, can you hear me over that music? Yep. The next one is, what specific outcomes or experience am I trying to avoid? And how might these fears be holding me back from embracing new opportunities for growth? Pardon?
Oh, that's better.
Okay, I might be when I'm talking. So
No, music is too loud.
what specific outcomes or experiences am I trying to avoid? And how might these fears be holding me back from embracing new opportunities for growth? And third one is when you start, when you feel quite triggered with comparing yourself with someone out there, what is the underlying insecurity that is an unmet need for you? Or how, so I want you to think about when you see someone and that person triggers you and you don't know why, inquire within, right? So what is your underlying security or unmet needs that are rising up? And how can I shift that perspective to celebrate someone else? Muted myself. So if you guys are comfortable, if you want to share anything that might have come up that might have just been a new realization for you, ladies.
I've had a realization just the last few weeks because I've started journaling for the first time in my whole life, and it's a prompted journal. So the first thing that it asks is, what am I noticing today? Mm-hmm. And then the next thing it says, what am I grateful for? And the last thing is, what action or how can I make today better? So through that process, like I've noticed something that's coming up quite a lot is that sometimes I can feel quite lonely, and then that triggers me to feel worried about my future because I'm single. Mm-hmm. So when I do that, like I kind of say, okay, I'm noticing that I'm lonely. So then what am I grateful for? Then and it's just happened naturally. I haven't thought about it, but my pattern is then to say, oh, I'm grateful for family, friends, community, for instance. And then how can I make today better? Then I've noticed that I'm go and connect with people. So having that, now that I've realized that, I'm now consciously doing that, and it's making such a difference, because if I had have just stayed in that state of loneliness at the beginning of the day, then that would spiral throughout my day and maybe days, weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
So I've kind of stopped that. Yeah.
I love it. It's gone from that fixed mindset of I'm just lonely. I'm going to be single forever. I'm not going to have that love. I'm not worthy of that love. And then growth mindset of like, I love connection, and I go and put myself out there to connect with loved ones.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because you're like a great example right now of just reframing, reprogramming your ego, your subconscious mind. And it's like a muscle, right? You're having to use it. And now you, like you said, you don't even notice that that you've swapped and you're just actually doing that. It just comes naturally now. It's like that workout, right? You're like, I'm working out and it's so hard, but whoa, where did these biceps come up? They're just there now,
Sometimes if I've missed a couple of days of my journal, I can start to feel whether it's anxious about something or uneasy. I'm like, oh, I haven't journaled for a few days. So then I go back to it, and then it's like a bit of a reset. Yeah. So I actually write, because I'm not much of an in-depth writer person. Yeah. So it's so short. And at first I was like, oh, I'm not very good at this because I'm not writing pages and pages of stuff. I'm just writing a couple of words down, but it's just, it's made a huge difference.
Yeah. And then right there, it's like, I'm not a great writer. I don't write in-depth stuff. It's that fixed mindset to turn it around and go, I write what comes out just enough for me, the message for me. it's just changing it and embracing it. And now look at you, a journaler.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wow.
Thank you.
I was just thinking about rejection in the past would really trigger me, like, and then thinking rejection is redirection. It's like protecting you from going down a path that you don't need to be going down. So thank you, universe. Like, that's how I sort of changed to the growth mindset. And yeah, what's another one? Just getting caught up in like gossipy things, that I always try and avoid that. I think, yeah, because I don't want to get hurt or hurt other people. And I think part of that is, yeah, I don't know, that whole leadership you were talking about when you're in the growth mindset is when you're comfortable with who you are, then yeah, you're just able to not get into it. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's a great one, because that's so challenging, because we're on this path, right? Doesn't mean everyone around us. And it's so easy and for people just to gossip and talk and, all that kind of stuff. It's part of their human nature. It's like, because it's all their own insecurities coming out, right? But I find that one way that because it's uncomfortable, one way that you can participate in that conversation without feeling uncomfortable is stepping into that leadership role and bringing a viewpoint from the lens of compassion and go, okay, well, example, the work that I was stepped away from, there's one horrible lady, horrible, made me cry, was just not nice. But the conversation I was having was like, yeah, she's not nice, she was horrible, but I wonder why there's so much pain and suffering there. There's something going on. I see that, her body's so inflamed, like, she must be in pain, and all her insecurities are just coming out on us. So then shifting the conversations within your group by, a compassionate viewpoint doesn't change the fact that that person is vomiting out all their insecurities and showing up in the world not nice. It doesn't excuse that, but we can understand why. Don't have to like the person. I don't like her at all, but I can understand why she's coming up. And then you can start changing the shifts of the conversation. And that's you showing up as a leader. That's you shining your light and giving other people to do the same by changing the language, start getting them to change their perspective on people or situations.
Yes, I think that's really dropped in for me today. Like, I heard you speak about that in the beginning, but then answering that, I was like, oh, it's compassion. Yeah. It's like, yeah, so that's really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. The last one, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I have horrible sisters-in-laws, like, they just ignore me and everything. Like, I'm not married anymore, I've divorced. But they're still horrible and they trigger me. Every time I see them, I'm just like, I don't know how I'm gonna have to work. I'm still working through that one.
Yeah. Well, I can share my example on a sister-in-law. So is he home? Hubby's home? No, he's not home. So I have one sister-in-law. She doesn't trigger me now, but she had triggered me for so many years. And there is not, like, when I went to explain why this person annoyed the hell out of me, there's not one thing that she does or, just annoy me. I'm like, why the hell does she annoy me? And as I'm going through my growth and going, okay, well, she's come into my life. She's a mirror. If I'm getting triggered, it's a mirror to me of there's something in there that I desire to be, or I desire to have, because that part of me is missing. So she was loud, she's out there, she lives her best life. And I'm like, what is it? I don't desire any of that stuff. I don't desire to be me. I'm the life of the party and just go out and party and all that kind of stuff. But then what I desired was the confidence to be myself, to show up regardless of what anyone thinks, and to do what makes me happy. And she lives that. She doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks about her. She loves to go out and party and have a good time. She loves, like, you know, just she's so, the way she dresses, and she's 40, I think 49 now, and she's so unapologetic about how she dresses, and she does not care. And she's so just loving life. And I went, that's what I lacked. That is what I desire. And it was triggering me because that wasn't how I was living my life. I wasn't showing up with me. I never did the things I cared what people thought about me. And it wasn't until my daughter, my youngest daughter, Zara, was born, and she's exactly the same. And I hadn't worked it out yet. And I'm like, oh my God, now I've got her in my life. What did I do to deserve a little mini version of my sister-in-law? Like, this is not fair. This is shit. And then it's like, I see Zara as just loving life. She doesn't care about rules. She doesn't care about how she looks when she goes out. If she wants to wear a tutu dress with slippers and like a crazy top with crazy hair, she will go out. And Harmony's like, oh my God, Mum, tell her no. And I'm like, no, she's so comfortable in who she is. She does not care. She's loving her life. And it wasn't until Zara came in my life, it made me realize, oh my God, that is what I'm missing, that confidence to show up. So yeah, I invite you, Megan, to just maybe sit down and have a think, okay, what is it? You know, put the ego aside and go, what is it that I desire? What qualities are there that I see in them that is sparking a, what's that word? I've lost that word. That is sparking a, I'm not showing up for myself in that way. I'm not lacking honoring myself. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able
I
to
will sit with that.
on why they annoy you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And before we go, I just want to go through some powerful, empowering affirmations, and then get you to start thinking about some powerful affirmations that you can bring in your life to help you just reinforce that growth mindset. So I've got, I embrace challenges as stepping stones to success, knowing that each obstacle presents an opportunity for growth. And I can copy and paste these for you guys. I am constantly expanding my skills, expanding my knowledge, and I welcome new experiences that lead me to greater heights, to greater evolution. I release the need for perfectionism and trust the progress, not perfection, is that it is key to achieving my goals. I am resilient and adaptable, and I view failure as valuable feedback that propels me forward. I believe in my ability to overcome any setbacks, and I'm committed to my journey of continuous improvement and evolution. So I want you guys to start thinking about what are some, you know, one-liners or mantras or something that you can help you with anything that you're struggling with right now today. What is something that you can reframe? Or if you've got one already, what is that you keep telling yourself? And I love, like, oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I like, just with the comparing to others, especially with the younger trainers in my industry.
Yeah.
So that triggers a feeling of not being worthy. And then I actually reframe that to, you know, I've done what they're doing now, and I've actually grown from that space, and I'm moving into my own now.
Yeah.
So I'm actually better off not doing what everyone else is doing, and I'm finding, you know, that niche. So
yeah. And I like to put in there that the women, my niche, or the women, and put it is the women that are going through menopause or the women pre-menopause, they are waiting for me to show up for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they're not looking to the 20-year-old PTs. They are waiting for you to show up, to shine your light, to give them permission.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm really happy for you. That's so powerful.
Yeah. It's good to, it's like, I feel like too, it's hard to teach it until you go through it, because Yeah, and that's one of my biggest. I don't regret it, but I do feel a little bit. It's not guilty, but when I was a younger PT and I used to not be compassionate. I would not be compassionate to the older ladies saying, I don't have the energy, I can't do that. I just used to think, stop complaining and toughen up, which was a really like not the right approach. But I also didn't know any better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You didn't know any better. And that's why it's so great to get out of the 20s, right?
Yeah.
And before we wrap it up, I'd love to know, because we covered a lot and went through a lot today, what has been the biggest key takeaway for both of you?
Oh, I just think, yeah, I'm still struggling to answer that question, but I'll sit with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just really blown away. The whole chat has been great. Like, yeah, I feel really positive. I'm ready to go and face the world.
Hey, that's the biggest key takeaway, feeling positive and ready to take on the world.
Yeah.
For me, I've actually I'm going to actually create, because I'm trying to create a little toolbox at the moment with different forms and things for clients. So one of them is going to be just a really basic mindset worksheet, and I've built it right here, so it's done.
Love it. Yay.
Totally.
That's going to be so powerful.
Yeah. So no, it's great, because when you think of mindset, especially in this day, there's so many coaches out there that teach mindset. So you think it's quite a big subject, but it's just, and I've actually put in brackets just simple concepts that you can just put into your own life.
Yep.
And they're just, little concepts that you can implement daily. It becomes a habit, and then it's not actually that big a subject if you don't make it.
It's not that big a subject. Like, what was the last topic that we spoke about? Was it imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Spoke about, and now we're speaking about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. There's limiting belief, but like I said, it all comes down to the same thing. They're all entwined. Your inner child, your ego, it's all entwined. And it exactly like you say, let's simplify it and make it like easy, simple tools.
Yeah. And even through that today, and also that's when I realized how powerful my journal has been. Like, even I haven't slept for 25 years, and I've tried everything under the sun, but now in my journal I've noticed I'm noticing I'm tired, then when I'm tired my mindset is very clouded. I'm now really saying, okay, my number one priority is now to fix my sleep, because on the days that I do actually get a little bit of a better quality sleep, my mindset is so much better.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I mean, you kind of say to yourself, oh yeah, I don't sleep, it's affecting me, but you don't actually realize how important some things are until you put it on paper. Yeah. So you're all entwined as well. So even though that's, we're talking about mindset in the journal, then you can uncover, gaps in your health as well.
And it's so profound, and the language that we use in our head and that we speak out loud is so powerful. They're like spells. Our body is listening to that. So if you're constantly saying, oh God, I can't sleep, even though your reality right now, you find it hard to sleep, like, let's not take away from the reality. But if we're wanting to shift it, it's like, oh, my body needs rest. Yeah. I need to sleep. Instead of, oh, I can't sleep, I find it really hard to sleep, I'm going to honor myself and rest. Start just reframing into that growth mindset and start reprogramming your mind, because your body is listening, and it's all energy. So, just start reframing put a word in there to start reshifting and not using the words, oh, I find it hard to sleep, I don't sleep, I can't sleep, I can't fall asleep. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
All right, my lovelies, thank you so much for jumping on. I was really excited with this one. There's ones that workshops that I do that I'm like, yeah, it's good. But there's ones that are like, I know this is going to be so profound. Like, so I had that feeling today. I'm like, okay, let's go. I can't wait. And then I dropped those kids off to school too late because there's a breakdown and all that stuff. I'm like, no, it's still going to be good. Let's go. So thank you for showing up. This is great.
Thank you.
you.
You're welcome. And I think we've got the next call. I'm just going to check the date. I did post it up yesterday. When is the next call? So it's the 8th, so next Tuesday. It's the embodiment call at 9 a.m. We're going to talk about Harmony's going to go through the doshas and sub doshas, because even though there's a module on there, she's going to go in depth and we can have conversations. So it's not just sitting there watching a lecture, which is pretty cool. So that's next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I'll see you guys on the call then.
And our next
Thank
one,
you.
our next one on the 7th of September for the mindset.
Yeah, let me just the 7th at 9 a.m. So if there's any kind of topics that you want to delve into, just throw it on the Facebook group, so then I can put a worksheet what is this? A workshop, a session together. All right, my lovelies, have an awesome day. So good to see you guys again.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.